Let me say something up front that might sting a little. Your success is no one else's job but yours. Not your family's, not your boss's, not your friends, not the government's. It's yours. If you want a better life, if you want growth, if you want change, if you want to reach that next level, you're going to have to take full ownership. Too many people are waiting for the perfect timing, waiting for motivation, waiting for someone to notice their effort, waiting for a breakthrough. But here's the truth. No one is coming to save you. No one is going to drag you across the finish line. You either decide to show up for your life, or you stay stuck watching other people live theirs. This isn't about hype. It's about responsibility. Because when you realize that success isn't something you're given, it's something you build, everything changes. And it starts with 5 simple truths that aren't complicated, but they are uncomfortable. So if you're ready to stop blaming, stop waiting, and start moving, let's get into it. There is a brutal truth about life that most people spend years trying to avoid. No one is coming to save you. Not your parents, not your friends, not your boss, not a mentor, not your partner. If you're sitting around waiting for someone to show up and hand you a breakthrough, a promotion, a sign, or permission to go after what you want, you are going to be waiting forever. Success does not fall from the sky. It doesn't show up because you deserve it or because life has been hard. Success shows up for the person who shows up for themselves every single day. We've been conditioned to think that if we're patient and good enough, the right opportunity will come along. Someone will notice our efforts, or the universe will eventually reward us. That's a dangerous mindset. It creates passivity. It makes people believe their lives are happening to them instead of being created by them. And the longer you believe that someone else is going to fix your situation, the deeper you sink into helplessness. Here's the hard truth. You are responsible for where you are right now. Yes, things might have happened that weren't your fault. Betrayal, trauma, failure, loss, but healing, growth, success, that is your responsibility. You didn't choose the cards you were dealt, but you do choose how you play them. No one else is going to push you to be better. No one else is going to wake you up earlier, tell you to keep going when it gets hard, or pull you out of bed when you're tired of the grind. That's on you. The moment you internalize that no one is coming, you stop waiting. You stop fantasizing that someone else will solve your problems or give you a shortcut. And that shift, it's powerful. It means you start to look in the mirror and see the person responsible for your next move. It means you stop asking, "Why isn't this happening for me?" and start asking, "What am I going to do about it?" That is where change begins. People love the idea of a savior because it takes the pressure off. If someone else is supposed to fix it, then your inaction isn't your fault. But the flip side is, if you wait for someone else to rescue you, you also give them the power to decide your worth, your path, and your limits. That's too much control to give away. You weren't born to be rescued. You were born to rise. You were born to figure things out, to fall down and get back up, to make moves even when you're unsure if they'll work. That's the process. That's how confidence is built. Not by waiting, by doing. When you accept full responsibility for your success, you take back control of your life. You stop blaming others, stop leaning on circumstances, and stop thinking the right moment will arrive. There is no right moment. There's only right now. The resources, the tools, the knowledge, they're out there. The question is, are you willing to stop waiting and start working? No one is going to text you at 5 a.m. and say, "Get up and chase your dreams." No one is going to hold your hand through every fear, every failure, every doubt. You have to decide that your future matters enough to fight for. You have to be willing to be uncomfortable, to get up early, to put in extra hours, to learn what you don't know, to show up when it's boring, when it's hard, when it feels impossible. Especially then. That's where most people quit, and that's exactly where you need to keep going. Don't confuse support with salvation. Yes, people can support you, they can encourage you, they can walk alongside you, but they can't do the work for you. They can't take responsibility for your dreams. That's not their job. That's yours. And when you finally get it, when you feel the weight of that responsibility on your shoulders, And instead of running from it, you rise to carry it. Everything changes. You start to think differently, act differently, speak differently. You start to lead yourself, and that is what separates the successful from the stuck. Excuses are easy, they're familiar, they're comforting. They give us a reason to stay where we are while pretending we could be doing more, would be doing more if only circumstances were different. If only we had more time, more money, more connections, more motivation, more support. Excuses give us a way to protect our ego, to shield us from the pain of failure, and to avoid the discomfort of growth. But here's the truth you don't want to admit. You can have excuses, or you can have results. You do not get both. Every time you make an excuse, you reinforce a belief that you're not in control. You hand over your power to external conditions. I can't because is the most disempowering sentence you can speak. Because what you're really saying is, I'm not willing to figure it out. That's not about time or money or energy. That's about mindset. Because there's someone out there with less than you, who's doing more than you, simply because they refuse to let excuses win. They've decided that their goals are non-negotiable. They don't care what's in the way. They care about getting through it. Excuses are seductive because they always come wrapped in logic. I'm tired. I have too much on my plate. It's just not the right time. I'll start Monday. It's not fair. They had more help. And all of those things might be true. But the harsh reality is that success doesn't care. Life doesn't slow down because you're overwhelmed. Opportunities don't wait around for you to be ready. If you want to build something that lasts, whether it's a business, a career, a dream, or a version of yourself that you're proud of, you have to stop using your circumstances as an excuse and start using them as a reason. There will never be a perfect time. There will always be something trying to distract you, drain you, or delay you. But the people who win in life aren't the ones with ideal conditions. They're the ones who show up regardless, who stop negotiating with themselves, who stop hiding behind reasons and start building habits. People love to say, I could be successful if. But the winners, they say, I will be successful because I won't stop. Excuses keep you stuck in the same story, the same patterns, the same regrets, and over time they build a prison you can't even see. You tell yourself you can't change jobs, can't start a business, can't get in shape, can't break that habit, can't ask for more. But that can't is just fear in disguise, fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of discomfort. But here's the catch: making excuses doesn't make the fear go away. It just delays the life you actually want. It puts your dreams on pause indefinitely. Building an empire, whatever that means to you, requires full ownership. It requires waking up and saying, if it's going to happen, it's on me. And that's not a burden. That's a gift, because when you stop making excuses, you start finding solutions. You stop seeing problems and start seeing possibilities. You stop waiting for life to get easier and start getting stronger. You don't need more time, you need more commitment. You don't need perfect conditions. You need consistent action. You don't need to feel ready, you need to start. Excuses feel safe, but they cost you everything. Your time, your progress, your potential. Every time you choose an excuse, you delay your goals. Every time you choose discipline, you move closer. You don't have to be the smartest, the most talented, or the best connected. You just have to be relentless. You have to be the person who keeps going, who finds a way, who doesn't need everything to be perfect in order to make progress. Because while others are waiting for permission, for confidence, for clarity, you're working. And that work, done in silence, in sweat, in moments no one sees, that's what builds the empire. If you're waiting to feel motivated before you take action, you're already losing. Motivation is unreliable. It's fleeting, inconsistent, and often absent when you need it most. Relying on motivation is like waiting for perfect weather to go outside. You might get lucky once in a while, but most of the time, you'll stay stuck inside, watching the day slip away. The people who get things done, the ones who build, achieve, grow, they aren't waiting to feel like it. They're moving forward regardless. That's discipline, and that's the difference. Discipline doesn't care how you feel. It doesn't negotiate. It doesn't ask if you're tired or stressed or uninspired. Discipline shows up, it gets to work, it follows through. Motivation is emotional, discipline is a decision. One is about mood, the other is about commitment. And if you want to accomplish anything worthwhile, you have to decide now that your goals matter more than your mood. We live in a culture obsessed with the high of motivation. The hype video, the catchy quote, the burst of energy you get after hearing a great speech. But let's be honest, how long does that last? An hour a day, and then what? You wake up the next morning and the feeling is gone. Now it's cold, it's early, your back hurts, no one's watching, and the excuses start rolling in. If you only act when you feel like it, you'll only act sometimes. That's not how success is built. Success is built in the everyday, in the get up anyway, in the do it when it sucks. Discipline is the bridge between goals and results. It's showing up to the gym when you're sore. It's opening the laptop when you'd rather scroll. It's saying no to distractions, no to easy, no to average, because you've decided your future is worth more. Discipline is quiet. It's not flashy or inspiring. It's not always fun, but it works. It gets results. It's the grind that no one applauds but everyone respects. People think the successful are more motivated. That's not true. They've just trained themselves to act without it. They've built systems, habits, routines that remove the need to feel inspired. They don't ask themselves, do I want to do this? They say, this is who I am, this is what I do. That identity shift is everything, because when you are the kind of person who trains daily, writes daily, learns daily, builds daily, then your actions are no longer negotiable. They're just what happens. Discipline also frees you. It gives you structure in a chaotic world. It eliminates the need to constantly decide. When you have discipline, you don't rely on willpower, it's automated. You've already decided. You made the choice when you set your goal. Now it's just about execution. You show up, you do the work, you don't debate it every day. That mental clarity alone is a game changer. Because every time you pause to ask, should I? You're inviting resistance in. You're giving yourself an out. There's nothing sexy about discipline. It's not a trending topic. It won't go viral, but it will change your life. Discipline is how you keep promises to yourself. It's how you build confidence. By doing what you said you would do, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. That consistency is what creates mastery. And mastery, that's what creates momentum. That's what sets you apart. The truth is, no one feels motivated every day. Not the top athletes, not the most successful entrepreneurs, not the artists, the creators, the leaders you admire. What separates them isn't that they feel like doing it more than you do. It's that they've trained themselves to do it anyway. That's the edge. That's the mindset shift. Motivation may start the engine, but discipline drives the car. And the best part, discipline is a skill. It can be built, strengthened, practiced. You don't have to be born with it. You just have to choose it every day, even when it's inconvenient, even when it's uncomfortable. Because that's where growth happens. That's where results live. Not in the moment you feel inspired, but in the moment you push through without it. There's a version of you out there, a future you, who is watching every choice you make today. That version of you either gets to live in the reward of your discipline or the consequences of your excuses. And the truth is, you owe that future self everything. Every decision you make today is a vote for the kind of life you'll be living 5, 10, 20 years from now. The future isn't some abstract concept, it's built from your daily actions, your daily mindset, your daily habits. Whether you realize it or not, you're always building something. The question is, are you building a future you're proud of or one you'll regret? Most people live like today doesn't matter. They procrastinate, cut corners, and make decisions that feel good now but create pain later. It's easy to justify. Just one day off. Just this one time. I'll start fresh next week. But those small decisions compound. They add up. And before you know it, you wake up in a life that doesn't look anything like what you wanted. Not because you weren't capable, but because you kept selling out your future for comfort in the present. You owe it to your future to stop doing that. You owe it to the person you're becoming to do the hard things now, the disciplined things, the inconvenient things, because what you do now is either building momentum or resistance. And that resistance doesn't stay in the moment. It grows. That skipped workout, that wasted hour, that missed opportunity, it all stacks. And one day you look around and realize you didn't just delay your goals, you redefined who you are. Imagine meeting the version of yourself 5 years from now. Would they thank you for the work you're doing today? Would they be grateful that you kept going when it was hard, that you didn't quit when you wanted to? Or would they be carrying the weight of your indecision? Would they be scrambling to clean up the mess you left behind? Your future self has to live with the consequences of your choices. Every late night you spend working on your craft. Every early morning you choose growth over sleep. Every uncomfortable decision you make with courage instead of fear. That's an investment. That's compound interest on your potential. People say things like live in the moment. And yes, there's truth to that. But don't confuse living in the moment with sacrificing the future. You can be present and intentional. You can enjoy today while still laying bricks for tomorrow. In fact, the more you honor your future, the more meaningful your present becomes. Because you're not just floating through life, you're building one. Think about what kind of life you want 5 years from now. Not the vague dream version, the real one. Where do you live? What kind of person are you? What do your days look like? Now ask yourself, does the way you show up today match the life you say you want? Are your actions aligned with that vision? Because your life doesn't change when the calendar flips to a new year. It changes in the middle of a Tuesday when you make a different choice. You owe it to your future to start making those choices now. To stop waiting for motivation. To stop blaming your past. To stop lying to yourself about how much time you have. You don't get to rewrite the past, but you absolutely have the power to design the future. And it starts with the smallest commitments. One more rep, one more chapter, one more uncomfortable conversation. That's the work. That's how you create a life that feels earned, not given. The truth is, your future self doesn't need you to be perfect. They need you to be consistent. They need you to care enough to show up when no one is watching, to push through when no one is clapping, to believe that what you do today matters even when it's invisible. Because that's what separates the people who end up living their dreams from the ones who just talk about them. The ones who respect their future enough to build for it in the now. Success is not some giant leap you take one day after everything magically lines up. It's not a lightning bolt. It's not luck. It's not handed to you. It's built one step at a time. The difference between the people who succeed and the people who stay stuck isn't that the successful had all the answers. They didn't. It's that they started. They took one step, then another. They didn't wait for clarity, confidence, or certainty. They moved forward despite not having any of those things, because they understood something crucial. Action brings clarity. Momentum creates direction. You don't get the full picture before you begin. You earn the full picture by moving. Most people are paralyzed by the size of their dream. They look at where they are and where they want to be, and the gap feels too big. So they freeze, they overthink, they plan and research and strategize until the moment passes. They convince themselves they're preparing, but really they're procrastinating. Why? Because the first step is uncomfortable. It's messy. It means starting small, starting unsure, starting without the applause or the perfect timing. And that's where most people tap out. But the truth is, no one builds anything meaningful by standing still. You don't need to know step 20. You just need to take step 1, and then trust yourself to handle step 2 when you get there. That's how all progress happens, sequentially, not all at once. You don't climb a mountain in one jump. You take a step, and then another, and then another. It doesn't look like much in the moment, but one day you look back and realize how far you've come, not because you leapt, but because you didn't stop stepping. There will always be reasons not to start: fear, doubt, insecurity. They never go away completely. You just learn to walk with them. You learn to take action in spite of them. That's what courage is. Not the absence of fear, but the refusal to let fear dictate your pace. If you're waiting to feel fearless before you begin, you'll be waiting forever. Start with fear in your chest. Start with your hands shaking. Start without knowing how it ends, but start. The first step doesn't have to be perfect. It won't be, and that's okay. Perfection is the enemy of progress. The people who get ahead are the ones who are willing to be seen starting small, starting imperfectly, starting while still figuring it out. You don't need a grand entrance. You need a quiet beginning and relentless follow through. Every expert was once a beginner. Every leader once doubted themselves. Every strong, confident, successful person once took a shaky, uncertain first step. The difference: they didn't quit. You learn by doing, you grow by moving, and you win by staying in motion. It's not the one big move that changes your life. It's the thousands of small ones you commit to over time. That's how you build discipline. That's how you build resilience. That's how you build a legacy. But none of that happens if you don't start. There's something powerful that happens when you take action. Your brain shifts. You stop being just a dreamer and start becoming a doer. You stop thinking what if and start seeing what's next. You begin to trust yourself, because now you're not just talking about it. You're proving it to yourself. And that self-trust, that's everything. That's what gives you the confidence to keep going when it's hard, to adjust when you stumble, to keep climbing even when the summit is out of view. Don't underestimate the power of a single action. One email, one workout, one journal entry, one post, one honest conversation. Those are the steps that shift your identity, that reshape your path, that wake up your potential. But none of that happens until you take the first step. Not the perfect one, the next one. The one that's right in front of you. Because no matter how far the goal feels, the only way to get there is one move at a time. And that move, that's on you.